Noah Mercer did not want to be famous. He did not even want to be the richest man in the room. At least, that is what he told himself. What he really wanted was quieter. He wanted people to look at him and think, he made it. That was all. One small thought, one harmless wish, one tiny hunger that slowly learned how to eat his whole life. Noah grew up believing success had a shape. It looked like a dark apartment with tall windows. It looked like a black car waiting at the curb. It looked like a watch that flashed when you reached for the bill. It looked like hotel lobbies, leather shoes, clean haircuts, and people asking how you did it. So when Noah got his first decent job, he did not feel successful. He felt late. Everyone else seemed ahead. Someone from school had posted a photo from Dubai. Someone else had bought a new apartment. Another person had started a company, or at least wrote that they had. Every screen he opened became a window into a life he did not have. And slowly, without noticing it, Noah stopped asking what he wanted. He started asking what would look impressive. His first mistake was small. A watch. It was silver, heavy, and far too expensive. The salesman called it an investment. Noah knew it was not. But when he tried it on, something strange happened. For a few seconds, he felt like the man he had been pretending to become. The price made his stomach tighten. The payment plan made it feel possible. 12 monthly installments, just a little pain spread thin enough to ignore, so he bought it. That night, he placed the watch on his bedside table and looked at it before sleeping. It gleamed in the dark like proof. The next morning, he wore it to work. Nobody said anything at first. Then one colleague noticed. "Nice watch." 2 words, that was all. But Noah carried them around all day like a trophy. He did not hear the interest rate. He did not hear the small warning inside him. He only heard, "Nice watch." After that, the rules became easier to bend. He needed better shoes because the watch made his old ones look cheap. Then he needed better shirts because the shoes made his shirts look tired. Then he needed better dinners, better photos, better places to be seen. Each purchase had a reason. Each reason sounded responsible. He was building an image. He was investing in himself. He was becoming the kind of person opportunities noticed. At least, that is what he called it. The credit card arrived in a black envelope. It looked elegant, almost private, almost powerful. Noah held it between 2 fingers and smiled. It felt like a key. A small, flat key to a life that used to be behind glass. At first he used it carefully. Coffee meetings, one nice dinner, a blazer for an important presentation. Nothing insane, nothing reckless, just small upgrades. Small upgrades are dangerous because they do not feel like a fall. They feel like steps. Noah started taking more steps. He rented a better apartment than he could afford. Not by much, he told himself. Just a little stretch. The building had a marble entrance, a quiet elevator, and windows big enough to make loneliness look expensive. When he first moved in, he stood in the empty living room and imagined visitors saying, "Wow." There were no visitors, but he imagined them anyway. He bought a sofa on credit, then a coffee table, then a lamp, then framed art that meant nothing to him except that it looked like it belonged to someone important. The apartment became a stage. Noah became the actor living inside it. Every morning, he dressed carefully. He checked the watch. He fixed the blazer. He looked in the mirror and practiced the face of a man who was not worried. Then, he stepped into the world and performed calm. The performance worked. People started treating him differently. A little more respect, a little more curiosity, a little more envy. At lunch, he paid before anyone could split the bill. At bars, he ordered without looking too long at the price. When someone mentioned travel, he casually said he was thinking about taking a few days somewhere warm. He was not thinking about warmth. He was thinking about photos. Then came the car. Not bought, rented. But only Noah knew that. It was black, polished, and silent in the way expensive things are silent. He told himself he needed it for a weekend trip. Then for meetings. Then because public transport ruined the image. The first time he parked it outside a restaurant, he saw two people glance at him. That glance was enough. It became a drug, not a loud one. A polite drug, a drug that wore a blazer and paid in installments. Soon, Noah's life had two versions. There was the version people saw. Clean watch, black car, nice apartment, confident smile, photos from rooftop bars, captions about discipline, patience, and hard work. Then there was the version that waited for him at home. Unopened bills, payment reminders, minimum balances, late fees, a fridge with almost nothing inside, a browser history full of loan calculators, a banking app he opened with one eye closed, as if the numbers could hurt less if he did not look directly at them. Every month became a puzzle. Rent first, then card payment, then installment, then another installment, then the watch, then the sofa, then the car, then whatever was left for food, transport, and breathing. But Noah kept telling himself it was temporary. He would earn more soon. He would catch up. The version of him people admired would eventually become real. That was the lie that kept everything standing. One day, a friend from work asked him how he managed it. The apartment, the car, the clothes, the lifestyle. Noah laughed softly. He said, "You just have to be disciplined." He hated himself for saying it, but he also liked how it sounded. That was when the lie became more than a costume. It became advice. And once a lie turns into advice, you have to keep living it. So Noah posted more. Not constantly, that would look desperate. Just enough. A coffee beside his laptop, a city view at night, his hand on a steering wheel, his watch beside a hotel key card. Each post was simple, elegant, controlled, and each one made the real Noah smaller. People responded. Goals. Teach me. Bro is winning. You're living the dream. Noah looked at those comments in the dark, sitting on the floor because the expensive sofa had started to feel like a witness. He smiled at the screen. Then he opened his banking app and felt his chest tighten. There is a strange kind of loneliness that comes from being envied for a life you cannot afford. You cannot complain. You built the illusion yourself. You cannot ask for help. Help would reveal the trick. You cannot slow down. People might notice. So Noah did what many people do when they are trapped by an image. He made the image bigger. He accepted invitations he could not afford. He bought gifts that looked generous. He upgraded his phone because the old one looked wrong in mirror photos. He booked a weekend in a luxury hotel, not because he needed rest, but because rest in a luxury hotel looked like success. At breakfast, he took one perfect photo. White plate, silver fork, city view, half a croissant. He posted it with the caption, "Grateful." Then he spent the next hour calculating whether he could make rent. The room was beautiful. He could not enjoy any of it. That was the first thing debt stole from him. Not money, peace. After that, it stole time. Noah began working late, not for ambition, for survival. He took freelance jobs after work. He answered emails at midnight. He said yes to projects he hated. He skipped sleep. He skipped exercise. He skipped phone calls from people who knew him before the watch. He did not want them to hear the panic in his voice. When his mother asked if he was eating well, he said yes. When an old friend asked if he wanted to meet somewhere simple, he suggested a nicer place and immediately regretted it. When someone said he looked tired, he joked that success was exhausting. Everyone laughed. Noah did not. The receipts kept growing. In drawers, in coat pockets, under the bed. Inside books he never read. Sometimes he threw them away without looking. But the numbers did not disappear. They only moved somewhere else, into statements, into interest, into silence, into his body. His jaw hurt from clenching. His stomach hurt after every payment notification. His sleep became thin. He would wake up at 3:17 in the morning with one thought repeating in his head. How long can I keep this going? The answer was always the same, a little longer. That answer is how people ruin themselves, not all at once, just a little longer. Then came the dinner, a small group from work, nothing special. But one of them had just been promoted, and suddenly everyone wanted to celebrate somewhere expensive. Noah could have said no. He almost did. His thumb hovered over the message. Then he imagined the questions. Busy? Everything okay? Money tight? So he typed, sounds good. At the restaurant, he performed perfectly. He laughed at the right moments. He recommended a dish he could not afford. He let the waiter pour sparkling water into his glass like it was normal. At the end, someone suggested splitting the bill evenly. Noah's portion was more than he had planned for groceries that week. He felt heat rise behind his eyes. Then he smiled. Of course. The card declined. For 1 second, the whole table became silent. Not long, not dramatic, just enough. Noah felt every version of himself watching. The boy who wanted to be respected, the man with the watch, the actor in the apartment, the liar giving advice about discipline. He cleared his throat and said the bank sometimes blocked payments for security. He tried another card. It worked, barely. People moved on. But Noah did not. Something had cracked, not visibly, not enough for anyone else to notice. But inside, the stage lights went out. That night, he drove the rented car home in silence. The city looked expensive around him, restaurants glowing, apartments shining, people laughing under warm lights. For the first time, Noah did not feel behind them. He felt outside of everything. When he reached his building, he sat in the car for a long time. The watch on his wrist felt heavy. The kind of heavy that does not come from metal. He looked at his reflection in the dark window. There he was, successful, stylish, admired, and completely trapped. Upstairs, the apartment was waiting. The marble entrance, the quiet elevator, the tall windows, the sofa, the art, the lamp. All the things that were supposed to prove he had arrived. Inside, his phone buzzed. Payment overdue. Another message. Minimum payment due tomorrow. Another. Your rental period ends soon. Another. Final notice. Noah stood in the middle of the room and looked around. Nothing looked beautiful anymore. Everything had a string attached. The watch had a string. The sofa had a string. The car had a string. The apartment had a string. Even the photos had strings. And all of them led back to his throat. For the first time in years, he took off the watch. His wrist looked pale underneath, almost innocent. He placed it on the table. Then he opened the drawer where he had been hiding the bills. They spilled out like something alive. He did not run from them, not this time. He sat down on the floor and began opening every envelope, one by one. The numbers were worse than he hoped, but less terrifying than the pretending. That surprised him. The truth was ugly, but it was quieter than the lie. Over the next few weeks, Noah disappeared from the version of life people admired. No rooftop photos, no car pictures, no luxury breakfasts, no captions about discipline. He returned the rented car. He sold the watch for less than half of what he paid. He canceled things he had once called essential. He moved out of the apartment with the tall windows. His new place was smaller, older, less impressive. The kitchen tiles were cracked. The elevator made a strange sound. The view was a brick wall. But the rent did not make him sweat. For the first time in a long time, Noah slept through the night. Not every night, but some nights, and that was enough to feel human again. People noticed, of course they did. A few asked what happened to the car. He said he returned it. A few asked why he had moved. He said the old place was too expensive. A few looked confused. Some looked disappointed. One or two looked relieved. That surprised him too, because while Noah had been trying to impress everyone, many of them had been quietly pretending as well. Different watches, different apartments, different lies, same fear. One evening, an old friend invited him for coffee. A simple place, small table, no city view, no performance. Noah arrived wearing an ordinary shirt and no watch. At first he felt exposed, like he had walked outside without part of his skin. Then the feeling passed. They talked for 2 hours. No one took a photo. No one asked who was winning. No one needed proof. When the bill came, Noah paid for his own coffee. It was cheap. It was honest. It felt strangely luxurious. Later that night, he passed a store window and saw his reflection. No blazer, no silver watch, no rented car behind him. Just Noah, a little tired, a little embarrassed, a little freer. For years, he thought success meant becoming someone people envied. But envy is a poor kind of applause.